The forgotten truth, the birth of addiction. Have you ever wondered what could drive a soul to willingly choose addiction and suffering over love, peace and compassion? Is it a twist of fate, a curse from their past lives, or perhaps do they consciously choose darkness as their life's journey? It's a question that carries the weight of untold pain, yet offers profound insight into the very nature of our existence. You might be shocked to know that some of the most spiritually advanced souls on earth, those who seem lost, broken, or abandoned, are in fact the very souls who have chosen this path. Addicts, the homeless, the ones society labels as lost, are often on a deeply transformative spiritual journey. Addiction, you see, is not a punishment, it is a purposeful path chosen by the soul. A path designed to break the illusion of separation and bring about a deeper understanding of love and compassion, an understanding that can only emerge from the darkest of places. For centuries, humanity has misunderstood addiction. People often view it as nothing more than a bad habit, a moment of weakness, or simply a disease of the body. But when seen through the eyes of an ancient mystic, one who has studied the soul through lifetimes, addiction is far more sacred, tragic, and revealing than we could ever imagine. Addiction is not random. It is not meaningless. It is a language, a forgotten language of the soul that has lost its way home. To truly understand this, we must begin by going back to the very beginning of a soul's journey. Before entering the physical world, every soul exists in a realm beyond words. It dwells in a place not bound by time, form, or suffering. In this place, the soul knows itself as one with existence. There is no separation, no loneliness, no fear, no emptiness. It is a state of pure peace, pure belonging, and pure love. The soul is not separate from the universe, it is the universe itself. In this realm, nothing is missing. But then when a soul chooses to incarnate into human life, it agrees to a sacred forgetting. The soul takes on a body, and with that body comes limitation, hunger, pain, impermanence, and the greatest suffering of all, the illusion of separation. If you've ever looked into the eyes of a newborn, you may have sensed something beyond the physical world, a deep, unspoken purity. A subtle fragrance of that other divine realm still lingers there. But as the child grows, the harshness of the world begins to cover that divine memory. The noise, the expectations, the traumas, the loneliness, gradually these things obscure the remembrance of the soul's original home. For some souls, this forgetting is unbearable. These souls are especially sensitive. They carry a deep memory of peace, of love, of unity. Perhaps they've spent many lifetimes in realms of higher consciousness where love was the only language. When these souls enter a world filled with harshness, violence, emotional coldness, or rejection, they experience a grief unlike any other. But this grief is not just the sadness of a difficult childhood. No, it is the grief of exile, the grief of being separated from one's true nature. The human mind, however, cannot understand this grief. It cannot say, I miss the source. It cannot say, I long for reunion with the divine. Instead, it feels an indescribable emptiness, a restless hunger, a silent pain that seems to have no clear cause. And this, my friend, is where addiction quietly begins. Addiction is born in that very moment when a person feels profoundly disconnected from their own soul and doesn't know how to find their way back. The person doesn't know what is missing, but they feel it deeply. So they begin to search outside themselves, seeking anything that might recreate that elusive feeling of warmth, relief, belonging, or peace. But here's the truth. It is never about the substance or behavior itself. Whether it's alcohol, drugs, food, gambling, or the approval of others, they are merely symbols. These are poor substitutes for the deep lost feeling of home. For a moment, the alcohol softens the edges of reality. For a moment, the drug creates a wave of pleasure, silencing the mind. For a fleeting instant, the rush of gambling or a sexual high might feel like freedom. But like all illusions, these effects eventually fade. And when they fade, the person is not only left with their original emptiness, but also with shame, regret, and a deeper sense of being trapped in their own cycle. This is the cruelty of addiction. It offers a temporary escape, but deepens the wound that caused the escape in the first place. But let's dig deeper, shall we? Why would a soul willingly choose such a painful path? Why would it choose to walk a journey where pain feels inevitable? The answer, my friend, lies within the hidden teachings of ancient mystics. Some souls choose to experience addiction not because they are weak, but because they are profoundly courageous. These souls come to explore the furthest reaches of their own darkness, only so that they may one day remember how to find their way back. In doing so, they become the way showers for others. They gain a compassion that is not theoretical, it is lived. They understand suffering from the inside out, and this understanding becomes medicine, a healing balm they can offer others one day. In this deeper view, addiction is not a punishment, it is a message. It is the soul's way of crying out, "Come home to me. Come back to your original self. Nothing outside of you will ever satisfy what is missing within." But here's the catch, this message is rarely heard early in the journey. Most people trapped in addiction believe they are broken. They believe they are failures. They believe they are unworthy of love. And so they spiral deeper into despair, running faster from themselves, searching harder for relief that never truly lasts. True healing begins only when the person pauses long enough to ask the real question, what am I actually longing for? What is this craving trying to tell me? What would it feel like to be at peace without needing to escape? It's not an easy question to answer. It often requires facing immense pain. It requires sitting with wounds that have been buried for years. It requires patience, kindness, and often guidance from those who have walked the path before. But the mystics have always taught one eternal truth. The peace you are searching for has never left you. It has only been covered. The love you are longing for is not in a bottle, a pill, or another person. It is already inside your being, quietly waiting eternal. Addiction then is not your enemy. It is your messenger. It is the sacred alarm bell of the soul saying, stop looking outward, turn inward, remember who you are, come home. This is why so many people who have healed from addiction become some of the most beautiful souls you will ever meet. They carry a depth of humility. They know suffering intimately. They no longer judge others harshly. They have seen the dark and they have returned to the light. And in doing so, they radiate a wisdom that cannot be learned from books. Addiction is never just about the substance. It is about the soul's forgotten longing to feel alive, to feel loved, to feel whole. And every soul, no matter how lost it seems, carries the key to their own return. Because home was never far. It was always within them. The truth about addiction is a truth we have forgotten. But it is also a truth we can remember if we are willing to listen to heal and to return to the light that lives within. Why would a soul choose addiction? If you've been following this journey, you already know that addiction is not a random affliction. It's not just about weakness, bad habits, or a disease of the body. It's a choice made by the soul before even entering this world. But the question remains, why would a soul deliberately choose such a painful path? To fully grasp this, we must step into the ancient mystical teachings of soul contracts. A soul contract, in its simplest form, is an agreement, a conscious decision made by the soul before it enters the physical body. It's an agreement about the kinds of experiences, lessons, challenges, and growth that the soul wishes to encounter during its earthly journey. This concept might surprise many of us. After all, who would willingly choose suffering? Why would anyone pick pain, loss, addiction, or trauma? Isn't the purpose of life supposed to be happiness? But here lies one of the greatest misunderstandings of human life. The purpose of the soul is not comfort. The purpose is growth, evolution, remembrance, and expansion. And strangely, growth often does not happen in peaceful or easy conditions. Growth tends to flourish in the very places where we feel lost, broken, or distant from our true selves. When a soul prepares to enter this world, it doesn't perceive pain the same way we do. The soul doesn't fear failure. It doesn't fear loss, and it certainly doesn't fear death. From the soul's perspective, every experience, whether joyful or painful, holds value, meaning, and wisdom. The soul understands that no experience is ever wasted. Everything serves to shape its evolution. One of the most profound lessons that addiction can teach us is a lesson of surrender. Addiction often brings a person to a point where their own willpower fails. No matter how intelligent they are, no matter how strong they try to be, they discover that they cannot control the addiction through sheer force alone. This is deeply humbling. It breaks the illusion of control, the same illusion that many souls carry from one lifetime to the next. Addiction can push a person to their knees, not out of weakness, but out of a deep realization that true strength comes from surrendering to something greater than the limited ego. This is why many recovery paths, such as the 12-step program, begin with admitting powerlessness and turning toward a higher power. This is not a failure. On the contrary, it is ancient spiritual wisdom disguised as suffering. Many mystics believe that souls who have carried great pride, stubbornness, or ego in past lives sometimes choose addiction to dissolve those old patterns. They want to remember humility. They want to reconnect. They want to break down the false identity of separateness. Addiction, as painful as it is, becomes the gateway to this surrender. Another lesson souls often choose through addiction is the lesson of compassion, not just intellectual kindness, but real lived compassion. A person who has been through addiction knows suffering intimately. They know shame. They know loneliness. They know darkness. And because of this, when they heal, they often become extraordinary healers, teachers, guides, or friends. Their compassion is authentic because it was forged in the fires of their own pain. These souls do not judge others easily. They see past the masks that people wear, and their compassion is rooted in a deep understanding of what it means to truly suffer. Some souls choose this journey precisely because they wish to develop this kind of heart, one that understands rather than condemns. Addiction can also shatter a person's self-image. It destroys their pride, exposes their weaknesses, and forces them to confront their deepest fears and vulnerabilities. But through this destruction, a powerful question arises. Can I still love myself even when I'm not perfect, even when I've fallen, even when I've made mistakes? This question lies at the heart of many soul contracts involving addiction. Some souls have spent many lifetimes as perfectionists, overachievers, or overly identified with status and success. In this lifetime, they choose addiction to confront all of that. They come here to learn unconditional self-love, a love that does not depend on external success or human standards of worthiness. Learning to love oneself even at the lowest point is one of the most sacred lessons a soul can carry. There is also a mysterious teaching that ancient mystics speak of some souls choose addiction not only for personal growth, but for collective purposes. Addiction is not just a personal wound, it is a mirror of collective human suffering. It reflects how disconnected modern society has become from true connection, true community, true purpose, and true love. Some souls agree to carry this suffering in their own lives to help awaken the world to its deeper wounds. Their lives become a living example, a message to others. Look here, see what happens when love is missing. See what happens when a human being is lost in separation. And when these souls heal, when they speak, when they share their stories, they carry a power that can awaken thousands. Now it's important to note something crucial here. A soul may choose the conditions for its lessons, such as addiction, but it does not choose every detail of the story. The soul agrees to enter a human life where addiction may arise, but once incarnated, the human being still has free will. They can respond in many ways. They can stay lost for years or awaken quickly. They can resist or surrender. They can run from their pain or face it with courage. This is the beauty of human life. The soul contract sets the stage, but the choices belong to the person living the story. Every small choice toward healing, toward love, toward self-awareness is a victory of the soul over the illusion of separation. This is why, from the view of ancient wisdom, addiction is never just a curse. It is a chosen classroom. It is a journey filled with shadows, but also with the seeds of light. Many of the greatest healers, teachers, and wise souls in this world were once deeply lost, not because they were weak, but because they were brave enough to walk through darkness, gather its lessons, and return home carrying medicine for others. The soul does not fear the dark because it knows it is made of light. Some souls, known as pain bearers or cycle breakers, agree to carry the wounds of their family, community, or culture. These souls face immense personal devastation, but they do so to heal and transform inherited pain. Ultimately, they become agents of healing for future generations. Their work is difficult but powerful as they bring healing not only to themselves but to those around them. Healing, according to these teachings, is never an isolated experience. When a soul breaks a cycle of suffering or chooses self-love and forgiveness, that healing radiates outward, impacting their family, friends, and even strangers. Thus, no life is wasted. Even if full healing doesn't occur within one lifetime, every soul's transformation contributes to collective growth and evolution. The highest work of the soul is often invisible to the human eye. Society tends to value external success but spiritually inner transformation. humility, love, and wisdom is most honored. Souls facing hardships such as addiction or abandonment demonstrate enormous strength, grace, and courage. Even though this inner power is not always visible, it is always there. Ultimately, no soul is ever truly lost. Whether a soul's journey ends in suffering or despair, their experience, wisdom, and courage continue beyond death. All souls are walking home to their original light and truth. The journey may be short or long, but each soul's path is sacred, beautiful, and part of the great return to wholeness. Therefore, judgment based on the conditions of a soul's current life is unwise, for the true story of each soul is far more mysterious and beautiful than it may seem.